Hello. Back with another video. I think this one might be a little controversial. It's just my opinion. I'm not a doctor, not a scientist. But I want to talk about becoming sober and why I think becoming sober can lead you to a greater, not greater, but can lead you to a higher development and um, easier expansion of consciousness. I'm not saying being sober makes you a better person. I'm just saying that I think becoming sober makes it easier and also to me seems like the path to further developing your consciousness to higher levels. Just my opinion from experience, from not being sober and being sober. So I became sober almost 2 years ago. Prior to that, I was a heavy cannabis user, used psychedelics, and experimented with some other substances um, throughout my life. When I was experiencing with different substances, I definitely had some insights and expansion of consciousness and experiences of higher realms, but ultimately, I think the substances kind of left me to continue to be searching for more and sort of fragmenting myself um, every time I was using them. I'm not trying to take away from the experiences I had, but I think the decision to become sober was the best decision of my life, or one of the best decisions of my life. Becoming sober allows you to have a clear and focused mind, or makes it easier to have a clear and focused mind. Just because you're sober does not mean you're going to have a clear and focused mind. Having a clear and focused mind takes practice and discipline. But when you're sober, it's easier to practice sharpening your mind to become clear and focused. So your attention is not always being distracted by multiple things. I think people use substances a lot of times as a form of distraction. And I think the way our society and reality functions is it is a grab for your attention. Your soul is coming into this realm with a high amount of focus and attention to be in this body. And when your attention is diverted into multiple things, it's kind of, in a way, disembodying you and not allowing you to be fully grounded in your body. And I think when you're using these substances, it is part of this distraction and disembodiment of your attention. For instance, a lot of people, when they smoke weed, cannabis, marijuana, whatever you want to call it, they become disembodied. They're using it as a form of escapism to get away from their everyday problems, their stresses, their mental health problems, their depression, anxiety, whatever it may be. But a lot of people use it as a form of distraction, so they don't have to think about what's going on in their life, which is disembodying. And I know for me personally, that was one of the things that I was doing. It just became a form of escapism. And you see this happening with other types of substances, like with psychedelics, where people maybe initially are saying, I'm using this to help, cure my depression or cure my anxiety or help my stress or whatever. And maybe, to a degree it's helping with that, but eventually it becomes another form of escapism and disembodiment, where you're taking this substance and then you're kind of getting blasted out of your body, and then your energy is kind of getting anchored higher and up in your body, where you're becoming kind of less grounded in this reality. And a lot of these kind of thoughts or realizations that you have on psychedelics half the time are like meaningless and don't really convert back to baseline reality. I think the substances eventually lead you to becoming more distracted and eventually more dependent on them. I see a lot of people that are like, oh, I just microdose now. Well, if you're just microdosing, you're using it as a form of escapism because you're not really learning to control your emotions. Every time you start to feel that depression, stress, or anxiety, you eat a little bit of whatever to try to modulate your emotions or feelings. Hence, that is creating a form of escapism, which is leading to a form of kind of disembodiment and kind of making you become less grounded, even though you may think you're becoming more grounded. So this is kind of why I'm trying to share my opinion and viewpoint perspective on this, because a lot of people are caught up in this viewpoint of these things are the greatest gifts to Earth and humanity, and they're going to save and solve all of our problems, which I kind of disagree with. I think, yeah, to a degree, they may help some people, but I don't think people are hanging up the phone, as Alan wants to say. I think they're, you know, staying on that phone call for an extended period of time and eventually going to be creating more issues for themselves farther down the road. I'm trying to speak out against this as much as possible because I think becoming sober is the key. And when I mean sober, I mean 100% sober. Not microdosing, not not doing fucking ayahuasca every 3 months or whatever, or doing mushrooms every 6 months. No, I mean 100% full on sobriety. Fucking taking life by the horns and fucking raw dogging that shit. Because I think when you do that, you really get the full immersive experience of life. It is more real than real. Than when you're taking these substances, and it's it's just as simple as just kind of learning to sit and reflect. Sometimes I've talked about it in other videos, but like develop the sitting practice, which is not meditation. Like learning to be in my body and slowly learning to pick up on the subtle energetics of my body and how my body and mind function. And being sober makes it much easier, but also it's an extremely difficult thing to do. Maybe my opinion will change again, but I don't think it will. And I'm going to speak out against substance use. And I strongly suggest, if you can, which you can, to live a sober life, and you will be surprised at how much more fulfilling your life is once you stop using substances. And yeah, I think you'll become happier. Life is still hard, but life is beautiful. And I think to truly appreciate it, for me, in my perspective, being sober allows me to truly appreciate all the nuances in life, because I'm not, in a haze or in another state of mind. Um, I'm trying to be fully grounded here in this reality and up-leveling my consciousness through my sobriety. I challenge you to take the raw dog life of sobriety.